Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another Thursday Thoughts. As you can see, this is going to be the best show of the year because I'm by myself. There's no Kevin today. And I say that jokingly. I do feel for my guy. Kevin is sick. I believe he told me he had a 102-degree fever or something along those lines. He says he doesn't think it's COVID, but he's out. He can't operate today. So that means we get to close the year strong. This is actually our last show of 2021. We're taking December off to come back hot and heavy in January. So again, super excited to have you all with us, and let's start the show. Now, I'm kind of sad because I love that intro, but it's probably the last time you're going to see it again. I'm going to give us a new one for 2022. But again, everyone, thank you for coming to another episode of Thursday Thoughts. Of course, we are live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. So please like, share the show. This is going to be a good one. All right. Because I know nothing about what we're talking about, or at least I think I don't know anything about what we're talking about. I have an Oculus, so we're going to get into that too. But today we're talking about the Metaverse. We're talking about the Web 3.0. We're going to have a really awesome discussion with a dude who knows 1,000 times more than me about this topic, my friend Ethan Berg. Let me tell you a little bit about Ethan. Ethan Berg is the CEO and lead visionary of Agora World. Ethan saw the need for more virtual immersive spaces and set out to improve the way we share experiences and interact with each other online. Ethan started designing Agora back in February of 2019 during his sophomore year at Temple University, go Owls, and has transformed it into a no-code 3D metaverse ecosystem that brings the users into virtual environments where they can naturally engage with other users and experience real life in a digital form. Now, I know nothing about what I just read, but my man Ethan is going to school us today. Ethan, how you doing, my man? Welcome to Thursday Thoughts.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Of course, man. So I said a lot. Folks, if you don't know at home, I read most of that because I don't know anything about the Metaverse. And I'm so curious. I do know about Agora World. I've actually had a chance to preview it and sample it. But please tell the folks, before we get into this discussion, a little bit more about you and your company.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again for having me, and thank you to everyone that's here today. As he said, I am a recent graduate of Temple University. I started building this during my sophomore year, go Owls. And, originally we started building a virtual reality shopping platform where it was in-store shopping online. And we've recently pivoted towards really democratizing 3D technology as a whole. So we've built a platform that's completely no code. It's easy to use, and it's a metaverse platform so that people can create anything that they imagine, not just a retail store, but, event spaces. You can build, tell stories. You can bring people into your culture and new places from all around the world without knowing how to code.
Wow. So me, someone who clearly has no clue about coding, can create my own what? Like I can make my own mall and sell my own items, but do it all virtually. What's the difference between me doing that and just like having a website?
Yeah, well, ours are going to be attached directly to your website, funny enough, pretty soon. So it's going to be your 3D website, but
Mhm.
essentially, unlike the flat and somewhat mundane experiences that you have on a typical 2D website, with ours, when you show up to the 3D space, you'll actually see other people that are there on the site at the same time as yourself. You'll be able to interact using voice chat, text chat, so it's more interactive and social. And you'll be able to interact with 3D models of your products, branding, videos, media, tons of different content in a hands-on first-person manner. So it feels like you're actually in a space.
That's so awesome. And you gave me a clip to show folks. Why don't we throw it up there now so folks can really get an idea of what this all means. All right, folks. So check this out. This is Agora World. Okay. I get it. I get it. So on Black Friday, when I don't want to go to the King of Prussia Mall because parking is going to be insane, someday they will have commissioned you to build the King of Prussia Mall virtually, and I can just go shop online, right?
Yeah, definitely one of the options that you could do.
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate that. So again, folks, make sure you are checking out Agora World. Make sure you give Ethan a follow. We'll put his social at the bottom of the screen. But I'm so confused by this metaverse. I have a better understanding of what it is a little bit by what you do, but give me a little bit more about the history. Where did this term metaverse come from?
Yeah, I mean, Metaverse in itself came from Snow Crash, a book back in the 90s. It's a slightly different than what you're seeing today in a lot of ways. Ready Player One would be another example. A ton of movies and sci-fi that have displayed these type of things.
Mhm.
But ultimately, it just describes virtual spaces and environments and experiences that you can share with other people from across the world. Feel like you're together.
Awesome, awesome. You got potential partners already here logging in. Thanks, Carla. So right now, today, so that's kind of where it came from. So and also just to run that back, it came from a book.
Yeah.
You're saying that the concept, is it older than the book, or like that kind of was the first time people really had this sort of vision? Let's say if it wasn't called the metaverse, is that kind of where it started as well?
I mean, it started a while ago, right? Virtual reality technology in itself has been being
Ah,
built since the early 1900s. Obviously, it's way different today than the original forms. But you
right.
can see different devices that have been coming out over the course of the past century, kind of leading towards this type of a reality.
Mhm.
That book really just defined the term metaverse more
Gotcha.
than the experience itself.
Gotcha. 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 So tell me about what this metaverse means today. Like what is it now?
Today, I mean, there's so many new things coming out every day, honestly. But the main thing that it really means is it's again virtual worlds that you can share experiences. A lot of the things that you will see today are game related. I think gaming has really been the first of the metaverse to come to fruition on a large scale, mass market, where people can have these different experiences. You can build cities and sims. You can go explore different games in Roblox. I mean, even Call of Duty could be somewhat considered a metaverse in the sense that there's different experiences to share with one another in
Mhm.
more of a real fashion. So it's immersive, they're engaging. But in the level that it is today, there's definitely a lot to come.
Gotcha. 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 Now, I know that I just really heard about it recently because Facebook, they changed their name to Meta, and I didn't know what that meant. I thought it was ridiculous. And then I started hearing about this metaverse, and that's what made me kind of more understand where they were going. But what is that rundown? What are they now to like the layman person who really logs into Facebook, talks to friends, don't know much more of that? What can they expect now, I guess, from that world?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's really going to democratize it even more. Just as you said, we've had people reach back out to us and say, "Hey, I didn't know what you were talking about," and now that Facebook is coining the term and using it every other sentence, I definitely have a better understanding of what's coming. So they really gave a lot of validation for a market that's been budding year after year. Everyone says this is going to be the year, and it still hasn't been the year just yet. But they're going full force into the virtual reality technology. So on the hardware side, they're changing the game. Software side, they've definitely done a lot to push it forward, and they're doing some transformational stuff. But there are a ton of other companies that have been doing it for way longer than they've been doing it. So they are
Okay.
not the first, but they're definitely the most mass market appeal that has been seen so far.
Gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha. And when we chatted before, you were giving me some insight into this Web 3.0. And the really cool thing, I'll show people this visual. We got some images up top. That's actually virtual Pats and Genos in Agora World on the top left there. And what about the space? Like, how did you create that? Like, that's part of your platform. Like, how does that come to life?
Yeah, I mean, we worked with Pats directly to build them a virtual restaurant. So we took 3D scans of their location, and we had a designer help us with kind of, making sure that it was clean edges. It looked like you were actually there to create a space that brings you to Pats, right? So you'll be able to see people cooking cheesesteaks in the back. you'll be able to see other people looking to eat there or learn
Mhm.
more about the inventor of the cheesesteak directly in that space. And when you order it right there
Yeah.
from Uber Eats, DoorDash, Goldbelly, whatever it might be that you use, it will deliver directly to your door in a much more immersive fashion than just scrolling on Uber Eats' app.
Wow. Okay. I see it. Now that I'm just curious from a consumer perspective, if I'm going to go to virtual Pats and order my cheesesteak there, is there a higher cost for me, the consumer, because I'm going through that portal?
No, it's going to be the same cost that it would be on an Uber Eats or DoorDash.
Wow.
Doesn't go up. We're working with them now to see if there's any promotions we could potentially run so that people can really learn more about the history of them, because that's their brand, their story is really what brings
Mhm.
them to life, and I think makes people go over to them or Geno's when they show up to Philadelphia, right? Like they're kind of the known Philly cheesesteak spots.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, can you tell me more about this Web 3.0? What does that
Yeah,
mean?
Web 3.0 is the next evolution of the internet, right? So if you look back in history, it kind of started with text, then moved to images, audio, video, and now we're heading into a space where there's going to be 3D content, real world content that is showed throughout the virtual world that you can interact with. And it's not just the metaverse itself, but I would say the metaverse is really where this information, these spaces, these assets are going to be stored, right? Like just like in
Mhm.
the real world, you've got different buildings where you keep different things, different filing cabinets. That's
Right.
essentially what the metaverse is going to be. Is it's going to be the place where you store this information and these experiences. But it's a lot bigger than that. I mean, you've got artificial intelligence, you've got augmented reality. I mean, there are so many new technologies coming out now, and all of these coming together is really what's going to push that Web 3.0, which is going to be where we're kind of headed in the next couple of years.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That sounds so awesome. I'm excited. Like I said, I have a VR headset, and like you said, gaming is kind of the space that it's been founded in, and I enjoy the heck out of it. I play mini golf with my friends, and I'm not gonna lie, we bet on holes and stuff. So then someone just cash apps you, and like it's great. Like it's playing. You got the interaction. I'm making a couple dollars 'cause I'm better than them at mini golf. And it's all technology that's bringing this whole thing together. Like I feel like I'm in my own little metaverse when I'm in that space. And again, the fact that they can just hit a couple buttons and send me my winnings is also a huge plus. Um, now let's talk a little bit about this impact. All right, the impact that this is going to have on different groups. So I want to hit all these different groups here. I want to talk about small business, entrepreneurs, the consumer, and the creator. So what is that impact on a small business?
Well, for a small business, right? I mean, the number one thing is to stand out and be differentiated. And I think that we live in a world where a lot of the websites they don't look identical, but they're very similar in a lot of ways, right? I mean,
Mhm.
people use templates, themes to draw people there and make it easier to build an offer to your community. And I think that these spaces for small businesses are going to give them the opportunity to stand out from the crowd, tell your story, share your brand, your why. Why do you matter? Why should a consumer love you? Because we are entering back into a world where you want to work with the community, you want to work with the small businesses of the world that are really pushing different communities forward and help
Mhm.
them grow more than the large enterprises that might be dominating certain industries. So for a small business, especially with what we're trying to offer by continuing to lower the barriers to entry, make it more affordable, make it easier to use. So no code, you don't really need to know what you're doing to make it happen. I think that those are things that are pivotal to making sure that the everyday person has access to the most transformational technologies that we've ever seen.
And I think one thing to mention, because I know I heard you say it a few times, that no code thing is huge. I'm a marketing guy, and let's years ago, before I even joined Navitas Marketing, I knew a lot of people I know needed websites, and I didn't know how to do a WordPress site and use the back end. But then when Wix came out, and you could kind of build a website without using the code and really just kind of a plug and play, for me, that was huge. I was like, all right, I can build sites on this, and it became really great. I feel like that no code element makes it like very user friendly for anyone. So like someone who might not be too tech savvy could still get into this metaverse space and use your platform, which I think is super awesome. Um, Next thing here, entrepreneur. So how does this have an impact on, let's say, a solo entrepreneur individual?
Yeah, well, for a solo entrepreneur, again, I think lowering the barriers is important. You don't
Mhm.
really have the bandwidth to go and dive into this, have all the time, energy, resources, money to invest into building these type of experiences. So
Right.
with a plug and play type environment, I think that again, it's going to allow them to share their vision on a broader scale that a pitch deck really can't bring to life. I mean, they're trying to sell not only their vision, but why they're doing it different. And on top of that, that there is a market for it. So having a space where you can bring that community together in real time,
Mhm.
interact with people on hand, no matter where they might be in the world, not only extends their reach to a global scale, but allows them to share that story and their brand in a way that you can do it today with videos and images.
Right, right. And another thing, I think it also can for that person kind of replace. You mentioned pitch decks. What about apps? Like, I feel like for a lot of people that would go the direction of like designing an app for their business, I think this could be an interesting alternative, and actually be like even more alluring to the people who they're trying to speak to. You think that that holds true? That would be accurate.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that definitely holds true. I wouldn't necessarily say replace. I'd say it's just another channel. Same as you
Mhm.
have Instagram, you've got Twitter, you have Facebook. It's not one or done. I think that this is going to be very similar where you keep your 2D website, you might have an app, but you should also have a virtual space where you can interact with people in that time. The other thing that I would say for an entrepreneur too is, I mean, it's a budding industry, that it's a budding space that really hasn't even close to reached its peak yet. And because
Mhm.
of that, the opportunity to start businesses that revolve around or within the metaverse itself, that they hold a lot of potential for monetization and for making a true impact on, different industries and areas that they're looking to solve problems for.
Gotcha. 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 And folks who are watching, a reminder, make sure you are liking, you are sharing, and of course, ask questions. So we got Ethan here. He knows everything about the metaverse. So throw your questions in the chat or in the comments, and we'll try to answer you live. Um, so let's jump into this, Ethan. So what is the impact on the consumer? I think that clearly this is very different than the small business and entrepreneur. So what are the benefits of this metaverse to that individual?
Yeah, well, I think on a consumer level, there's definitely a few things, right? One is the immersion and interaction. So when you're going to buy a product online, could be difficult. You don't know if it fits. You don't know how it looks in person, how it feels. So a lot of us go to the store. Amazon's convenient. Don't get me wrong. I order stuff from there all the time. But when it's something that I need to really touch and feel, you have to travel to the store, and some of them can be far away. So this allows for them to interact with it in person, hands on, as if you were there without actually having to travel. So for a lot of brands, their products can be this can allow them to have a better level of know-how and understanding of what's being offered on the market. I'd also say that on a consumer level, I mean, part of why I buy from certain brands is to be part of their community, right? Like-minded individuals. Apple is a great example. I think Tesla is another huge example of loyalty factor. People love the brand. They want to be a part of this community.
Mhm.
Those with green texts and the Androids, I'm sorry you get ripped on by your friends, but it's again, it's one of those community based things where if you don't have it, it's why don't you have it? And I think that these type of experiences will allow people to better know the community and those within it, and get to know the people that are a part of these communities like themselves, instead of just commenting on a forum post or on a Reddit page.
Right.
You'll be able to talk to them and walk through a space, interact with the products, and learn more about who they are, which I think will continue to extend and build communities worldwide.
Awesome, awesome. And this last one that I had on there was what I dubbed myself as a creator. So let's say I'm a creator, whether it be I do video, I'm a painter, I'm an artist. How can the metaverse sort of be a factor for them?
I mean, creators have the most opportunity here, in my opinion. Because with the things you said, right, those are kind of flat in a sense. When you watch a video, it's a flat screen, right? Same with art. So with those, I think that not only is there a way to showcase it for your consumer base, for your community, to walk through a gallery like you saw in the video you played of ours.
Mhm.
We've held art galleries, we've held fundraisers, nonprofit events where you can talk to the artist in front of their work and ask them questions about why did you paint it in this way, why did you create it in this fashion. And again, the story behind a piece of work is what gives it its value. most of the time, I would say.
Mhm.
Past that, though, I mean, 3D creation is starting to come into effect. So instead of just creating a video or a movie, I think we're going to start seeing movies that revolve around you as the character. You're going to be inside of the film. The space itself will be a 3D environment. You'll be able to move through Hogwarts like Harry Potter, and fly on the broom next to him instead of really watching it on a flat screen. So it's going to allow for a whole new level of interaction with your creations, right? And obviously opens up brand new doors to allow you to bring people into your story in any way that you wish. I went to a concert not long ago on an app called Wave VR, I believe it's called.
Mhm.
And I mean, the things that they have going on, it feels like you're at a concert. It's unbelievable, like
Yeah.
360 degrees all around you. You've got lights flashing, a galaxy flying in the sky. So it looks like you're in space. I mean, you know, it feels like you're there. And I think that that is the biggest level of it is creators will have the ability to draw people into their stories and into their creations and really feel it rather than just see it and look at it and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see when there are creators who are like bred and grown on the VR platform. Like that doesn't exist to any significant level now. But like the kid who like starts playing with VR when he's 7 and what that kid is doing when he's like in his 20s and 30s, like that's what I want to see. Yeah, that's
We're going to
super
see
awesome.
that soon. I mean, look
Yeah.
at Roblox. Roblox is a great example. I think they're a $50 billion company, 55 billion right now, and they've basically opened up more of a Minecraft Lego type building tool to let
Hmm.
anyone build their own games. A majority of their games and their creators are under the age of 17, actually,
Wow.
which is really interesting. But you can climb Mount Olympus on Mars. You're able to you name it, you can do it. They have a jailbreak game. They have it so you can go to an amusement park and ride roller coasters. Again, a lot of these experiences are more game based. And I think we're going to start seeing a transition towards real world application where rather than playing a game, you're going to try to find meaning for the time that we spend online. So instead of just scrolling, clicking, and typing, people find that to be mundane and somewhat addicting. And I think once you introduce this type of aspect where you're doing an actual real world application,
Hmm.
something that has an effect on your life in one way or another, it's going to start defining why am I spending time online? Because I'm going and doing this, this, and this,
Right.
if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And one question that I was thinking about. So for me to be engaged in this metaverse space, do I have to have like a 3D headset?
Not at all. No. I mean, ours itself is Mac and Windows. Pretty soon it will be
Oh.
mobile, tablet, and VR headset. But you can find a lot of these things on your Mac and Windows computers. I think that it's the 2D aspect is discounted because it's not as immersive. It's still a screen, but these experiences, the amount of engagement that they bring into play, there's no multitasking, there's no looking at other monitors. You're in the experience. So it's supposed to bring you past that screen and allow you to bring the feeling of vitality to these experiences that you're having on your everyday devices. But the VR concept is definitely what's coming. I think most people will have a headset in the next 10 years. That's been said for the past 10 years. So I guess we'll see if the next 10 years bring that to play. But Facebook investing in it is just dropping costs left and right and really pushing for adoption.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, so I don't need a VR headset. It eventually, like I said, most people will have one, but I can still get involved in this metaverse even though I'm not at that level, which is super
Yep.
awesome. So I want to ask you, what can we kind of expect from the future of the metaverse? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but you gave me a couple points, and I would love you to dive into them. Tell me more about this democratization of technology and information.
With the democratization side, I think it goes back to, as you were saying, like what Wix did for websites, Weebly, Squarespace, right? They lower the barriers to entry. This is a space that, in order to get involved today, you either need the technical know how, you need the resources to put into it, or you need the money to pay someone who knows what they're doing to help you with it. And many
Right.
of these things can remain expensive. Same with going and building your own website instead of a template can cost $20,000, $30,000. So it's one of those things that as this continues to become simpler and simpler to create, we're going to see more and more people, more creators that are able to get involved and share their visions with the rest of the world. I'd say on top of that, as it gets easier to use, you're also going to see it become more platform agnostic, which leads to every device that people have, no matter where you are in the world, no matter your community, no matter what you're able to afford, everyone should have access to these experiences and to the information that can be shared within these spaces. Data visualization is a great one where you can literally see it in real time, right? Instead of just a number in an Excel file. So I think that we're going to start seeing that democratization where everyone across the globe has access and, more importantly, the ability to utilize it.
Gotcha. And tell me about the decentralization.
Yeah, so a lot of what we've seen are somewhat closed communities, closed platforms, which
Hmm.
have their benefits. They might not have their benefits, but I think that we're kind of entering a sphere now where a lot of people are asking why there's a lot of dominance by these big organizations, why they own the markets, right? And I think that that's part of the centralization is there's a bit of a approval process needed for you to build certain things on different devices or to be available on different app stores. And I think we're going to see the removal of those barriers and go back towards the same way the web works is, it's kind of the trust factor of you can go and build a website for anything. But if you do something that's kind of against community lines, what
Hmm.
we see as acceptable and not acceptable, legal versus not legal, the community gets involved and they report it to the right people. I think that we're going to start seeing more trust and allowing people to do things the way that they want to do things and just hold accountability in that sense. So the decentralization aspect is going to really lead to the community leading developments and the community leading the creation of where we're headed in the future and what's available and accessible.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And last, we have here the interconnectivity element. What are we going to expect from that?
I think that we're going to be able to maintain relationships better. I think that we live in a world now where, especially after COVID, everyone has friends, family, business connections from every inch of the earth, right? And social media is great to continue staying in contact. You can follow each other, you can comment on each other's pictures, FaceTime, Zoom call, but a lot of us are zoomed out, and the main reason behind that is because of the level of connection. It's not there. It doesn't feel real. You're still looking at each other on a screen in a new environment. You know we're in a different place right now. But when we enter a space like this with the metaverse, it's going to bring people together as if you were sitting in front of one another in a boardroom, in a coffee shop, in a store, whatever it might be that you're experiencing at that moment, and allow us to have that bond that we all strive for, right? I mean, that human element aspect is something that's kind of discounted, I think,
Hmm.
where we look at it as, oh, I need convenience. Convenience is all, right? And that's why Amazon is dominating because it's so damn convenient.
Right.
And I think that where we're kind of going towards is also realizing that there's another whole part of it that makes us as humans feel good. That that immersion, the social interaction we have, the ability to look each other in the eye, shake hands with each other. Then it adds a whole other aspect of the privacy side of, what am I able to protect on my own rights, and what are things that it's okay for other people to know. And I think that it leads to a more trustworthy and transparent, open conversation between people in these spaces, and again lets you connect face to face and make memories with one another in ways you cannot currently do online.
Wow. Gotcha. Gotcha. This is awesome, man. I really appreciate all the knowledge you've been dropping. And I got one last question, which
Yeah.
I guess is more of an Agora experience and how you've experienced it. What was the impact of the pandemic on this space? Because I feel like, like even me, I'm zoomed out, but I might have used Zoom 7 times before the pandemic. And if the pandemic didn't happen, I probably wouldn't have used it much over the last couple of years. So did that accelerate things on your end or for this metaverse to become mainstream?
I think it did. I think what it really did, it didn't necessarily accelerate the space itself. I would look at it in a few factors, right?
Mhm.
On one end, with the acceleration, the awareness factor. I think from an awareness perspective, people know about more of these experiences that are available. And on
Mhm.
top of that, we all recognize again that we have people from across the world that we want to get to know better. And the current methods of online connectivity don't quite give us that last bit that we need to feel out whether or not someone's the right person for you to know and work with, or get to know on a more personal level. And I
Right.
think that these experiences are going to transcend, and it sped up the adoption rate for many of these metaverses. I mean, there are 12 or 15 of these platforms now that are valued at over $1 billion, despite the fact that 80% of the people that come and use our platform tell us they've never done something like it before. Right. And maybe it's because we're targeting a different area. 30 to 55 year olds is who we're going after, again, because of the lower barriers to entry. But ultimately, the fact that there is a huge swath of the population that's never experienced virtual worlds before, and yet it's already such a big space, should give it should give not only validation to the environment and the experiences that are becoming more available right now, but also to those that are looking for a new way to do things, because it's only changing for the better. It's only increasing in value and fidelity itself.
Wow. That's awesome, man. That's awesome, Ethan. I really do appreciate it. I've learned so much today. For folks that are watching with us live, I hope you learned a little bit too. Of course, this is going to be on YouTube, on all our social platforms. So, folks who are watching later, again, make sure you reach out to Ethan. Follow them at Agora World. I believe the Instagram was agoravr.world. So, check them out. Of course, you can always connect with Ethan on LinkedIn. We'll make sure to tag him, in our description. But folks, again, this is the last Thursday Thoughts of 2021. We don't do a December show, and we do a little retooling so we can come back with a great slate in 2022. So that means our upcoming speaker could be you. So if you're interested in being a guest on the show, just give us an email at energy@navitasmarketing.com, and we'll chat about having you up here, just like we have the awesome Ethan with us today. So again, we're looking for speakers for 2022. If you're interested, give us a shout. And again, great having you here, Ethan. Any last words, parting words for our viewers?
I'd say be prepared for 2022. It's going to be a big year for everyone.
Indeed, indeed. Everyone have a fantastic day. We'll see you next year, and have a great Thanksgiving and holiday season, everybody.
Thanks for
Peace.
having me.